So today I'm going to be coding a website from scratch. I know now we're in the vibe coding era, but I think it's important that people still understand the basics of what constitutes a website. And if you know the skeletal structure of a website, even if you're vibe coding, it will help you to kind of troubleshoot if something's going wrong. So I'll just start from the top here. Every website, or most every website, has three major components. It has a head and a body. And in an HTML document, you have tags. The outside tag is the HTML tag. And then there's always a closing tag there. And we'll go to the second element of an HTML document is the head. And this is where all of the style and script are typically stored. I know nowadays they're putting the script at the bottom of the document. You can also use a related JavaScript file and a related CSS file, which is standard for websites that are big. But for today, I'm going to do what's called inline style, where I'm going to include the CSS, that's the cascading style sheet, which is the instructions to the browser on what font you're going to use, what the background color, the border thickness, radius, the position of the objects are going to be on the website. I'm going to put all of that actually in the HTML tags. All right, so far I've got my opening and closing HTML tags. I've got my head tag. Next thing I want to do is give the website a name. So I'm going to put a title element in the head tag. All right, and I can do, I'm on Windows, so I can do Control S. On Mac, it's Command S to automatically save the document. All right, so the third piece, I've added the head to the HTML document. I need to add the body. So I'm going to put a body tag, and always add your closing tags. So I think for this experiment, I'm just going to create a top navigation. So I'm going to put that in a table. I know that's not popular nowadays, and I was told back in 2012 that tables would be deprecated, but they're not. They are still a thing. So let's do an opening table tag and a closing table tag. And in HTML tables, rows are TR tags and columns are TD tags. So let's add a row. Let's close it out. Always remember to close out your tags. And I want to put 3 buttons in here. So what I'll do in advance is just go ahead and add my column tags. And I'm just going to copy and paste the other 2 to save time. And I have, all right, so I've got a table and I have 3 columns in that table. And in each one of these columns, I'm going to put a button. So I want to add the button tag. And I need to give the button IDs. So we'll call this first button home because that's pretty standard. And I need to close out my button tag. And then for the text that displays on the button, I'm just going to write the word home. And then I'm going to copy and paste this button tag for the other 2 buttons. We'll call this one about. And the third will be contact. All right, so now I want to give the table some style. So let's go ahead and put some breathing room between the body and the table. And to add style to the table, I'm going to go to the opening table tag, and I'm just going to write the word style equals. And the inline style tags they're flanked by double quotes. So whatever I put in the double quotes will be the instruction to the browser on how to style the table. So in this case, you know what? I think I'm going to add another tag before I do that. I'm going to add align center. I was told 10 years ago that that command was going to be deprecated, but it's not. So let's save that. And for the table, I want it to be a navigation bar, so it's going to be at the top. So I'm going to say I want it to be the width to be 95%. And the syntax or the nomenclature within CSS, which is what I'm writing right now, is to put your opening command, in this case it's width, and then a colon, and then the value, and then you end it with a semicolon. And after the semicolon, I can add other attributes. So in this case, I want to add border is going to be 2 pixels. Let's do solid black. And let's do height is 60 pixels. And border radius, so we can give it rounded corners, it's going to be 5 pixels. And then background color, and I need to look up the hexadecimal code for a light blue here. Got it. And you can just get that in the browser. You just look up HTML color codes. And so this #99CCFF is light blue. All right, so we've got our table styled there. We've got our buttons inserted. The next thing I want to do is add, I could change the background color of the body, but let's go ahead and look at what our website is right now. Let me see if I can pull this up. Let's refresh. All right, so we've got a clunky top nav that is in place right now. We've added 3 buttons to it. Let's go back and let's, in the body, beneath the table, and before the body end tag, I'm going to put what's called a div. And a div is essentially a rectangle. Think of it as a sheet of paper. If you've ever made a collage and you cut out letters and images and you place them on the sheet of paper, that's what a div is. You know, you can round the corners, you can put a black border on it, you can, well, in HTML, you can put a drop shadow. So let's say div ID, and I want this div to be not seen. So I'm going to hide it, and I can give instructions to the browser to hide the div. Oh, I'm breaking my rules right here. I need to put my close tag. So let's do the style. And the first thing I'm going to do is write display none. All right, and then I want to position it is absolute, and then I tell the browser where we're going to put this. So I want it to be 30 pixels from the top, and let's just do left 30 pixels. All right, and then let's do background. Color is going to be red. And then we'll do border, same as the table, is going to be, let's do 5 pixels on this. 5 pixels, solid black, and then border radius. It's going to be 5 pixels, so we'll have nice rounded corners there. And let's go back inside the div here. All right, so what I'm thinking about is just saying, is just having this display when the home button is clicked. All right, so anything that you display, you need to give the user the chance to close it. So I need to put a child node in this div, which is going to be a button. And let's close the button tag. And I'm going to put just the word close on it. And I need to tell the browser what to do when this button is clicked. So it's important to know that the button is inside of a div. So the div where the button lives is called the parent node. The button is called a child node because it's within this div. So let's go on click. When the browser sees that I've entered the word onClick as part of the button value, it knows that JavaScript is going to follow. That means it's going to be given instructions on to do something when the button is clicked. So on click, I'm going to say, I want you to look at this object, and then I want you to look at the parent node, which is going to be the div where it lives. And I want you to change the style, the display aspect of the style, to, and I have to use single quotes for this because we're already wrapped in double quotes. So it can throw the browser off if I use double quotes within double quotes. So that's just kind of a little rule they learned along the way. So, so at this point, I've got a div built in the web page. It's hidden. So if we go back to the web page and I refresh, that div should not show up, and it's not showing up, but it is there. So the next thing I need to do is go back to the home button, and I need to give instructions to the browser on what to do when the home button is clicked. Now I want it to say, when the home button is clicked, I want you to find the div that is named Hello Div, and I want you to change its style display attribute from none to block. So those are the instructions that I'm going to write into the web page now. And then we wrap our JavaScript in double click. So I'm going to say, I want you to look at the document, and I want you to get an element by ID. And we put the name of the ID that we're searching for in parentheses in single quotes. Hello div. Oh wait, the syntax has got to be 100% spot on. Okay, so hello div, hello div style display equals block. And then I put my ending semicolon at the end there. So I think that may be sufficient. Let's do Control S. I'm saving it. And let's go back to the web page. Let's refresh it. Let's click our home button. And it didn't work. And if you're programming in front-end development, whenever stuff breaks or doesn't work, you can right-click on the web page, and then it's not showing the context menu, but I see it on this end. And then in the sidebar, I click Console, and I look at the errors that are being displayed here. And I'm not seeing... Oh, document get element by ID is not a function. Okay, so my syntax is wrong. My syntax is wrong on my JavaScript. Holy cow. So here it is. Here it is. Literally, I've got a capital D where I should have a lowercase d. Control S to save. Let's go back to the web page. Let's refresh. And we got it. But it looks like I did not. And both buttons are working. So guys, that's just a basic introduction to front-end web development. I know everything's going to be vibe coded probably pretty soon. And the stuff that the models are outputting is super confusing. So if you're interested at all in being able to do it by yourself or ever feel a need to, this is just the basic structure right there. Thanks.